All right. Welcome back to 3M Affairs Podcast. My name is Josh, and today we are talking about Winter's Tale, directed by Deborah Granick. I hope I pronounced her name right.
Was that on purpose, or did you do that?
No, that's totally purpose. Me trying to be official, you know?
Well, no, but it's Winter's Bone.
Shit. Okay. Start over. Wait, what did I say?
No, keep that in. You said Winter's Tale.
No, that's staying in. That's staying in.
Yeah, you can't cut that out.
Oh, God.
You fucking coward.
Jesus. This instant coffee is not okay. Like, this is not okay coffee. Anyway, we are be talking about Winter's Bone by Deborah Granick as part one to our Lord. Female cycle. Yeah, thank you. I'm Josh, here with my friends Caleb and Brandon.
Hey,
how are y'all doing? It's a Saturday morning.
Well, it's a Saturday morning, but it's also the first day of the 29th year of our friend Brandon's life.
Yay!
Woo!
Happy belated.
Yeah, I'm old. Thank you. I feel very old, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty hungover. So if I'm mumbly, I apologize. And if I get super passionate about Winter's Tale, just take the ride with me, because it is quite the tale.
I can't believe I said that.
I mean, that's cool, but eventually we'll have to bring it back to Winter's Bone.
Oh, okay, fair. Speaking of, by the way,
yeah.
and this is on me 100%, but before we actually watched the movie, I conflated it 100% with whatever the horror movie Jennifer Lawrence had done at the same time, like Last House on the Left or whatever it was. So I thought that's what it was.
I remember what it was called. Because It had the dumbest trailer of all time. So the movie was called The House at the End of the Street. Right.
Thank you.
But so the trailer had it in just all red letters on a black background said hates.
Right.
And then it would stretch out into that long ass title. And I was like, this looks like fucking dumb. And it was.
But then I think that came out around the same time as Winter's Bone. So I had always conflated those two movies. So I wasn't super stoked to watch it. And then I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, this is a completely different movie. And very good. And not at all what I thought it was. And yeah, so that was a fun ride. I started at a really low place and then it was way better. And it made way more sense that she got nominated for an Academy Award for it. That's like some random horror movie.
Yeah. No, that's really
so
funny.
Yeah, as you can tell by me going on random tangents, I'm pretty hungover. And that's my Saturday.
How's that any different from how you usually are?
I'm less self-aware of it right now, I'd say.
Is that your secret cap? Are you always hungover?
Yeah, that's I'm the drunk and Incredible Hulk. No, I mean it's only because I haven't done anything in 4 months. Really the first time I had anything to drink. So.
Oh, yeah, you guys are a little more strict than we are right now, I think.
I mean,
in Canada, right?
Yeah, some people are doing, whatever, but pretty much, especially in Toronto, it's been pretty good. Everybody doing what they got to do and starting to open things up now. So, I mean, actually, yesterday it was announced just around Toronto and Ontario went into phase 2, which means that filming is starting. So it's been
cool.
an interesting week with auditions and blah, 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 blah. All of that starting up, which is really nice. So hopefully.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. They keep saying that New York and LA are doing that too, but I haven't, who knows?
Well, I keep seeing about LA.
Yeah, I haven't had the energy.
But not New York.
How you doing, Caleb?
I'm doing okay. It's, just time really has lost all meaning. I'm starting to really... I've been going in waves where it'll be I love having nothing to do but just be inside all day, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm ready to go start the world again, and then maybe not, maybe you should just stay in here, but then with everything that's been going on, it's just exhausting, and I'm definitely getting a little stir crazy. But New York apparently against all medical advice is starting to open soon. So we'll see what happens there, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think it's what's frustrating is that we did hit the marker to start reopening, but as soon as we gave the go ahead, people just aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. There are pictures of bars being open that people just congregating in the streets and having drinks, and it's
in New York,
and especially in the gay community,
really?
Around Hell's Kitchen and stuff, and I was talking to my boss because I still have yet to get a text from work to see when I go back or if what my schedule will be if I do go back.
But you've been there for
And-
a long time, right, Josh? Like, I don't mean to interrupt, but you should be good at work. Like, you've been at the bar for a couple years now, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
They're definitely rehiring everybody. They're not going to fire anybody from this, but I still haven't heard anything. But then you see these bars around the city who are open where people can take to-go orders and drinks, and they're getting with their friends, on the corner of 9th and 51st Street, 51st. And it's very alarming and it's kind of crazy. And I texted my manager and he said, yeah, I saw that. It's not worth losing a liquor license,
Yeah.
because
sure.
even though it's to-go orders, like, you're still responsible for people like in the streets, and yeah, they've like laxed the liquor law or whatever, because you can have to-go containers now in New York City, but still you're still responsible for those people that you're giving drinks to. And we'll see. I don't know. The world's going to shit a little bit. I didn't sleep last night because I kept playing scenarios of talking politics with my dad on Father's Day, but I won't. Obviously, it's Father's
Oh my
Day. I
God.
need to love my father. I do love my father.
But that's heavy.
But I just kind of went down
that's
this
not
rabbit
fun.
hole
Yeah.
because I saw something my cousin posted on Facebook that contradicted something he posted on Instagram. And then I'm so confused because people are complex. You know what I mean? Like, I just went through
Yeah.
this whole thing. I just got angry because it's like, even let's say, John Bolton's book comes out. I read it. I'm like, Dad, read this. It's by a reputable conservative, whatever. And he's saying this stuff. He'll just say, oh, he's doing it for money. That's all twisted. Like, I'm just assuming he'd say that.
Dude, you can't. Yeah, you can't win.
And I'm
Because,
just, I got angry.
Yeah, I understand. I also get like preemptively like. Do you guys? I don't know if you guys have had that experience, but like, did you guys have that moment ever where like just in any innocuous conversation about anything that's going on where like your parents kind of like accidentally like reveal their beliefs that don't necessarily
Sort of.
line up with yours? I just like, I remember like, because like it there is something to be said with like each generation like becomes more and more socially progressive, at least in America. And so you can like have like that window shift so that, my parents' generation, for example, will like have like all of these like beliefs, but then they'll like say one offhand comment that I'm like, hey, that's like really fucked up,
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those things. And then so with everything that's going on, it's like really hard to like ignore that stuff, and they're difficult conversations to have,
Yeah, and I feel like, it's gonna have to happen at one of these days, but not today.
Yeah,
Anyway,
right.
not Father's Day weekend. But what I do instead of that is that I have dove into the God of War series, so that's helped.
Yo.
I replayed the first 3 back to back, which in hindsight, God of War 2 into 3 has to be one of the best kind of like continued
Wait,
stories.
is
kind of
3 the one that
overall.
starts off and you're like climbing up with Gaia and all of that, and like it's that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an amazing
Because it starts off
scene.
right at the end of God of War 2, where the Titans kind of start going in, and so it was great. And then now I'm like halfway through God of War, so it's very
God of Boy.
God of Boy,
Dude,
and it's really interesting. I want Kratos as a father figure because he's just like, go hunt the deer, boy, and the boy's like, but where did it go? Where deer go? Like it's so funny.
It's
great.
I've always been on Xbox, so I've never really got to play them. But that story was so interesting that I watched the entirety of it on YouTube of God of War
okay.
4 because it was
Just
so. I
like
was
through cutscenes.
yeah, and it's like, I mean, it's like an hour and a half in total, or 2 hours of cutscenes, or something like that, But it was such an incredibly well done story that I was in. I watched
Right.
them all. Have you finished? Have you played it before?
I haven't finished. I started playing God of War like last summer. Then I'm like, you know what? I want to like refresh myself. And the thing is, with God of War, the 4th one, it's like they say it's like 1,000 years. Like, it's a long time between the third game and the 4th game. But what's great about it is that if you get the history fresh in your mind when you play the 4th game, it really does kind of uplift or enhance the story, because all the comments that people make to him and the boys asking him questions about spirits and gods, because they're now in Midgard
Right.
doing the Norse mythology, which is really cool. And he's like, don't trust gods, don't trust spirits. They always want, and you know this because of all of Kratos' history. So it's fun. I'm getting through that because I also bought Last of Us Part 2, and I need to play that because it's gotten
I was wondering if we were
going to
talk about that.
Tens.
Have you played any of it?
Across the board. No, I haven't. It's back home. I'm on Long Island right now, so.
Oh, okay.
It's waiting
that's
for me.
a touch. That's people have very strong opinions about that right now. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to that online.
No, I haven't.
I've just been hearing nothing but good things, but
Oh, really?
yeah.
It's like one of those cases where like if you look at like the critic score, it's like 90, 95, and the user score is like 30. Like people, but there's like lots of reasons why. I haven't played it, so I can't speak to the quality of the game itself. But lots of like classic gamer opinions about women and trans people and I don't know. People are kind of I think it's ridiculous, but people are really upset at the video game, which is always, I don't know. I want to like be on the side of like video games because I think it's like a very unique medium in terms of storytelling potential. I think like there have been a lot of really incredible leaps in terms of the art form in the past decade, especially. But like it's just the consumer base is so ridiculous, and every time I like read these comments or like read these news stories about just the abhorrent way that these people behave, it like really makes it difficult to be on their side, you know?
In terms of the video game developers or the users?
A little bit of both, but like, I think video game developers, especially the big AAA companies, have been kind of like engaging in really shady business practices. But the user base, I think, especially, seems to attract a certain type of person.
But then, I mean, I think when you look at certain companies, it's way worse than others. Like, look at EA.
I was clearly talking about EA and Ubisoft and But even with like Bethesda with Fallout 76, like it's just infected everywhere.
I never played. No. So I have a loose understanding. I mean, Fallout's just future Skyrim, basically, right? Give or take.
Well, Skyrim is medieval Fallout.
Okay, whatever.
Fallout was there first.
You know what I'm saying, though.
Well, no, but it's just like the pay-to-win shit, and like, it's just standard practice to release an unfinished game at full price now, with like the understanding that like DLC and everything and like subscriptions, like I don't like any of it. I hate all of it.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm in the sports game world, which is even worse because I play NHL and I play.
You buy the same game every year.
I play the same game every year, and then on top of that, I play Ultimate Team, so I have to like try to not buy stupid random packs of cards virtually that mean nothing, and or just charge you real money. So it's like this whole, it's bullshit and it's infuriating.
Yeah, like, actually, it's disgusting.
Well, me and my brothers, all three of us played like the NHL World Championships this year, and like the qualifying rounds it's your ultimate team. So if you haven't put hundreds of dollars into it, you're just playing teams that are 99 like across the board players. And all three of us within 3 days were like, "This is the most infuriating thing. I'm out. I'm done. Fuck it."
Yeah.
Oh, are those? It's pretty. Are you talking about like? Are they like booster? Like booster?
It's
things?
The way it works is, so for all the sports games, for like Madden and FIFA and NHL, what they did a couple years back was did something called Ultimate Team. And what you do is it's all online. You're playing against other people, but you build your team up. So every time you win, you get like 1,000 coins or whatever, and those coins can be used to buy packs of cards. Those cards represent players, and like as the year goes on, they have upgraded cards and better cards and blah blah blah. But you can also buy the packs of cards for real money.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pay to win, baby.
So
yeah, it's really upsetting.
Yeah. I mean, it's commercialism to its finest, and like,
and then that's not even talking about like the mobile games where like they trick these kids with their parents' credit cards into racking up these insane bills. It's just so predatory, and it really sours my. I have a Switch, and that's it. because I gotta play
Speaking
Pokemon.
of-
Then did you do the Isle of Anchor or not Anchor?
It is
Armor?
downloaded, it's loaded, it's ready to go, but I've resisted because I know that as soon as I start, that's a week. Like I gotta make sure I get my work done before I have my little treat.
It looks dope.
He's
Which
like,
is another thing because like they released Sword and Shield, which is a finished game for sure. I was happy with the experience, but then it's like here's because there's another DLC coming later, so it's at least $60 to get the quote unquote full experience, and it didn't used to be that way. And it's like I don't know.
But the way that they did Sword and Shield was way more worth the original 79 whatever it was, 79.99 than any other Pokemon game I've had. It had 1,000 times more replay value with the online and the Wild Zone and all of that. So I didn't need the DLCs. I'm stoked for them. Just like I don't feel suckered by Nintendo. Like I don't feel any.
I don't think it's like the
negative
same
thing.
level.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as egregious for sure, but I don't know. It's like something to be said about cutting the Pokedex in half and using the same animation sprites and like using the same models. Like I think there's a middle ground in between the two things.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, I've been playing through Pokemon Let's Go and I've been greatly enjoying it. It's super fun.
Yeah, Pokemon's always fun.
It's also that one's like
except for I don't know. I'm on Ultra Sun right now, and I can only play for like 20 minutes, and I just get bored. But that's just me.
wow. We are very nerdy.
We are very nerdy, and I love that. But so yeah, Last of Us Part 2. The jury's still out. I did pay for it, so we'll see. I cried at the end of the first one because the story was so good for me, and I look forward to seeing what they do Part 2. You know what I mean? So
I feel like Last of Us.
I would encourage you to make your own decision. It's just because that's the game that people tout out as like storytelling in video games. You know what I mean? Look what it can do. Look at The Last of Us. And I agree. It's like an incredible.
Well, 7 years ago, it was kind of like the first. They were using real people and stuff like that to act out the scenes.
Was that Telltale? Was that the first Telltale one, or is it a different company?
I was Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog. So like the Uncharted series, which is a great series. You know what I mean? Like I've enjoyed their games. So
we'll
see.
Speaking about the Uncharted series, as this is like a film podcast, but just before the before the pandemic and everything went down, apparently that was about to get shot with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, with both of them. And Tom Holland playing like a young Nathan Drake, and Mark Wahlberg, I don't know the other characters, but I read interviews with both of them saying it was the best script they've seen in a long, long, long time. So I'm excited. It might be awesome.
Oh, cool. Mark
I think
Wahlberg,
he's too
though,
young.
Like
I don't know. I would say Mark Wahlberg. If like there was somebody who had like
they've been trying
a little bit
to make it for a while with him, but it just never worked. Like they never got it out in time. So yeah.
I don't know. I think Tom Holland's too young. But I don't know what they're going for. Maybe it's like a prequel, whatever. Maybe he is like a young Indiana Jones type thing.
Right? I would guess they're...
Well, in the third or fourth game, isn't there like a whole like prequel kind of like the first couple levels were him as a kid? But that might be, I don't know. I don't know if that was the fourth one or not. Might have been the third.
I don't know.
Anywho,
again, because of Xbox, like I never played them. They're PlayStation games, so
I'll have to relook.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Shall we? Speaking of, how can I segue into Winter's Bone?
Tell us a tale of the winter.
So, Bilbo Baggins died a couple days ago. Death.
What?
Winter's Bone.
Oh god, Winter's Bone.
Which is that's really sad. R.I.P. Ian Holm. He was great. He's in like a bunch of my favorite movies. I realized. He's in Brazil. He's in Alien. He's in Lord of the Rings. Like just legendary actor.
Rest in peace.
But now he's dead.
World.
Just like the character from Winter's Bone, which is the movie we're talking about today. So look at that. Segue 101, baby.
Yes, awesome. So Winter's Bone. So this we started our cycle of women directors, and I chose Winter's Bone by Deborah Granick, and it was Jennifer Lawrence's breakout role in a dramatic part about a 17-year-old girl taking care of her family and realizing in very rural Missouri, and she realized her dad's kind of in the deep swamp. Spoiler. and she kind of, it's like her taking care of her family. General thoughts. Who's all seen this before? I have not.
I had not seen it before.
Caleb, had you checked it out?
I saw it like years ago.
It came out in
whenever
2010.
It had come out, but I didn't really remember.
What you guys' thoughts after watching it again?
Or
for the first time.
So yeah, I had gone into it with a very weird perception that was totally off. Watched the trailer, so that got my head back on the idea of what the movie was actually about. And just watching through it, it was very entertaining, very real. But what stuck out to me the most, and still does, like the only thing that I really think about now is just she was so, Jennifer Lawrence was so real, and I don't want to say understated, but she didn't. Oh, you know what I mean? She didn't overplay anything. She was just right. Like she was perfect, and like it just worked. I don't know. So that's what my mind keeps going back to, is the entire tone of the movie seems very set by her, and the way that character interacts, everything, and the kind of calmness, the general calmness, and trying to figure it out sets this weird tone of the movie, and I loved it. I liked it a lot. So
cool, Caleb.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of don't feel that way. I was pretty underwhelmed by the experience. I would say that as far as like Jennifer Lawrence goes, I think like she's had a very I don't know if I want to say strange career trajectory, but I think that, and I'm sure we'll talk like about her a lot in this episode, because she has had an interesting career, and I feel that it was one that, I mean, she's not that much older than us.
No, she's not.
And I feel like she's already like burnt out. You know what I mean? Like her career should have been over like almost 2 decades what she's done, and it's been like 7 years. and I think it's really interesting how the public perception of her has changed and shifted based on her projects, her actions, kind of annoying things that she's done and said. But this is like the movie that everybody kind of, this and Silver Linings Playbook are like the movies that everybody points to her and being like, no, like she is like incredibly talented. I think this was a case of maybe what Brandon was feeling in Black Swan, like because of like going in knowing the outside stuff. I didn't necessarily feel that she was incredible. But she definitely, when you compare it to like Hunger Games or X-Men, like you can see the difference in her attitude and her nuance and stuff like that. I feel that John Hawkes was the best thing in the entire movie. Her uncle, Teardrop.
Yeah, he's also like, I knew we were going to get into that, because he's in everything that he's in. He is incredible. He's amazing. Like phenomenal in everything. Plays the good guy, the bad guy, the middle, whatever you want him to play, he's gonna kill it. Like, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. He stole the movie for sure. Fantastic.
I genuinely believe he's like, if Daniel Day-Lewis didn't become famous, like that's who he would be. Because if you go through his filmography, like every single thing he does, he crushes. Like it's insane. But as far as like this movie goes, I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think. I was sort of underwhelmed. I didn't think it was paced very well, and I felt that while I don't want to say it felt disingenuous in terms of its portrayal of poverty, I was conscious that I was watching a film the entire time.
Oh, interesting.
If that makes sense. But I know that based on what you guys have said, you guys feel differently, so I want to hear you guys.
Well, Caleb, now that you said that, like, I am on the middle ground. Like, I totally got the pacing issue. I totally get, like...
Same here.
The reason why... I'm not sure if it was nominated for anything else, but I definitely think, Jennifer Lawrence did a fine enough job. I did have moments, kind of like in Good Time, where you just kind of felt, because of the world they built and, like, the production... set design, the costume design and whatnot. Like, I really got a impoverished family in rural Missouri where the family are just assholes. Like, you can be blood related, but then they like they like protect each other from the law, but then they'll like willing to kill each other for like stupid shit, and
Josh, meth isn't stupid
we've
shit.
What?
I said meth isn't stupid shit.
Oh god. Hey, I'm from Iowa. That shit's real.
Oh shit. All right. Well,
But you can only buy two boxes of pseudometaphin or whatever.
dude, that's so crazy.
And they keep track of that shit. But
Wow.
but I'm thinking in terms of like what we've talked about in other episodes about like good actors and like a good versus a good script and kind of being supported by that. And I think the dynamic between the family and just if you're setting out to create and it's based off a book, and and it's adapted, and I think it got nominated for best adapted screenplay. Maybe is what we'll look that up. I don't know, but I could just be talking on my ass. So anybody listening, like I'm not, I did not research that. I'm sorry.
It was nominated for 4 Oscars. It didn't win any of them. Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor for John Hawkes, Best Picture, and Best Adapted Screenplay.
Okay. Because the feel of it is very like, I'm trying to find the right word to it, but I got it even from what Caleb, you said, you didn't get kind of, you knew it was like a film portraying this kind of life. Right. But I thought they did like a bang up job attempting to succeed at that, if you wish, down to the dealings with the cops and the bond officer and, teaching how she taught the kids how to, squirrel hunt and things like that. And I thought it was a nice movie. I thought it was okay the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, I kind of got it more. But again, if it's maybe good movies are one of those that you have to take time to digest, or or if you can get it all from the first watch, then that's good too.
Oh,
but
speaking of that, I have a question. Were we supposed to have any idea who paid his bail at the end? They do this whole thing where they left the money.
I thought it was Teardrop. I understood it as Teardrop.
And
the reason I say that is because when the Bond guy at the end comes with the money,
right,
there's a shot of John Hawkes looking over and kind of giving a little bit of maybe a nod to he helped do that. But I don't know.
I think what happened, and again, I think one of the big issues I had was actually you don't understand what's going on unless you read the source material. From what I gather, based on we looked online about all this shit. I think what happened, the book I think makes it more clear that Teardrop did post the bail so that they could get what's his fucking name? What's her dad's name? Dad, I don't remember.
Yeah, whatever.
Jessup. They got him out because he was going to inform to the police in custody on his family, and so the family posted the bail so they could take him out and take care of him. And I think Teardrop posted the bail, and he's like, then the family killed him, and so he's like, I know who killed him. It's my fault because I'm the one who posted bail, even if I wasn't the one who literally killed him. I think that it's like thematically he
so
did. So thematically,
me just finding that out now makes it twice as good of a movie. But again, the issue being, we just had to have this conversation for me to learn this information. So
it's all fine and good if that's the movie, but if we don't get that from watching the movie, that's a huge issue.
To be fair, I sometimes have problems paying attention during long movies, so I might have been facing.
I don't think it's that. I think it's really unclear, though. I think it's
really unclear.
Okay.
Yeah, because here's the thing: the movie's not long. We've watched longer movies
for sure.
Right? It's an hour 40 minutes, but when there's a certain time where it kind of just starts, great shots of like the trees and the in the house and kind of setting the scene for what's happening, and she's hanging up laundry. I love the folk kind of bluegrass music, with the singer and stuff that gets brought back halfway through. It was really cool. Like this is a community who's very tight knit, but at the same time, don't fuck with, Thump, because he'll, fuck your shit up. But he, you establish this, like, okay, this is their situation. She's taking care of these 2 kids, but then all of a sudden, and then she has to find her dad because the sheriff comes, and that kind of sets up the scenario. But then her journey to do that, it's kind of like you just get stuck with this family, right? This whole time. And it is very like, because nobody wants to talk to anybody. All I know is that you don't talk to Thump, you don't talk to, don't come around here asking questions, go back home, to stay home. Yeah. But it's like, I'm going to lose the house if I don't find my dad.
Well, and I mean, that was kind of the thing for me. Like, all this stuff is just kind of happening, and the movie would have lost me, I think, had it not been for Jennifer Lawrence. And, I mean, because I was captivated by her, I was interested. And what I think, Caleb, definitely what you were talking about before, I feel like you definitely felt the same way that I felt during Black Swan, just knowing she was nominated and/or won. It's supposed to be this incredible performance, because I expected that as well, because it was flipped. And it was this, in my mind, this kind of understated performance. She's not freaking out all the time. She's not, you know what I mean? Like, we've seen her play very volatile characters now as well. So we've seen that range. Yeah. So I was very happily surprised to see it go the other way. And so that was captivating for me. And I couldn't stop thinking the entire time, if I was casting the Hunger Games and I saw this movie, I would 100% cast Jennifer Lawrence. Like, that makes perfect sense to me, how she went from this to that. Like, if I saw this, I'd be like, okay.
I definitely,
we just need her to tone it down like 5%, and then it's perfect. Hunger Games.
I definitely think that, you don't need to be, like, screaming or crying all the time to have, like, a good performance. I definitely don't think that. But I think it's just, I really feel like it's a case of, like, okay, this is like important subject matter, so we're going to like throw accolades at this film without it really earning it. Like, she's fine. I don't think she's bad. I don't think that the movie's like bad necessarily. It just seems very like what are you saying? Yeah. Like, what is this movie saying? That poverty's bad? Like, of course it is. But I didn't feel like it was showing any sort of interesting nuance and like examining the topic in a sort of like interesting or cathartic way. Like, there are moments, like, I agree, Josh, that they're like in the beginning when you're kind of like seeing how like she takes care of her siblings, and then her mom is, I guess, got some undetermined
which you never illness, find out,
which you never find out, which I think would hurt it a little bit. Like, I'm not, I don't know. I know that there are very few actual actors in the film, and I think that that plays a huge part in it. Most of the people in the movie, besides Jennifer Lawrence, John Hawkes, obviously, and a couple other people maybe, were locals.
Really?
That they got.
Oh, wow.
And for when I watched it, I felt that the accents were bad. But then when I learned that, I realized, oh, it's not that the accents are bad, it's that these people aren't actors. And so, like, that's why it feels a little false to
That's
me.
interesting.
So in this,
because it felt like everybody was really good,
I don't know. To me, it felt like people were saying lines. Like, I didn't really believe. I think that the movie was informing a lot about relationships and a lot about the dynamic of the town. But what we were seeing on screen wasn't really supporting that, and that's just how I felt. I was a little underwhelmed. I think a huge problem was the pacing, because the movie doesn't like get started, like the real plot doesn't get started until like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
To me, like, proving your dad is dead so you can keep the house. In another movie, that's like end of Act 1. This is the movie we're going on now. Do you know what I mean? Right. But it took like so long. It's like, oh, like, your dad's not here and posted the house for the bond, so now you got to find your dad, and like, oh, you got to talk to these people. Like, these people know what happened, but they won't talk to you, and now they're talking to you, and he's dead, and you got to prove that he's dead now. And it's just all of these conversations with these people, and it's so repetitive because they're all doing the same thing. You know what I mean? They're all like, stop asking questions. Like, you don't want, like, get out of here. And then it just kind of ends very anticlimactically. And I don't know if that's the point.
I will say that's,
for me, it's like, go ahead.
Just the scene with where she did have to saw the hands off. I was like, okay, that's.
I was just gonna say, that was Fucking A, man. Can you imagine being a 17-year-old girl and having to like pick up your daddy's hands out of the river?
Dude, when she
or
goes,
the stream.
why'd you drop it? We need both of them. Or they'll think he just cut it off to run away. I was like, oh, fuck, that's dark.
It's like her own like fear factor. Like,
Yeah.
eat the deer testicles. Come on.
Just like,
You have to do it. Eat both of them.
oh, fuck.
I don't know. I feel like yeah, that's like obviously horrifying, but an hour and a half in, like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not primed for it. I think that could have been really effective. It wasn't as effective to me. I think on paper, everything in this movie is great. I just feel like maybe the execution wasn't for me.
Yeah, it was.
But I hear you guys.
No, it's because I don't. It's weird. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. Usually, I do because I'm usually like coming out of a movie being like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. You know, it's usually that conversation this week. I liked what Jennifer Lawrence was doing. I really liked obviously the uncle, and then the other guy who I cannot remember his name, but you know what I'm talking about. The guy who seemingly like actually killed her uncle. He's like one of the drug dealers. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's a
No.
cousin of some sort.
Yeah, and I've definitely
when he brings her to the meth lab.
Yeah, I
That guy
think
in
so.
the
Yeah.
car?
Yeah, and I've definitely seen him in other stuff. I almost want to say he was in Superbad.
Kevin Bresnahan.
Yeah, was he in Superbad, Josh?
Yeah.
He was in Superbad. Yeah. Yeah, Patrick.
Yes, he's the
Who was he in
he's the guy
Superbad?
in Superbad that takes Michael Cera into that room and is doing a bunch of coke and is like, "Sing for me, aren't you Donnie's brother? You have a beautiful voice. I brought my buddy,
wow. I haven't seen
Mitch
that
all the
movie
way
in
down
forever.
here. It's fantastic, fantastic.
That's great.
All right, so there you go.
Yeah, but I thought he was really good too. But yeah, it was. I don't know. It was a little. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. I appreciated a lot of things in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I definitely my strong points were definitely the sets and the area and the design of the costumes.
Mhm.
You know.
But I feel I don't know. To your point, like I feel though that because we spend so much time with this one family, I didn't get enough of a sense of the world. Do you know what I mean? If you're trying to paint the community as this like drug-addled, you know, distrustful of authority, like we've got our own like underground rules going on here. You know, I didn't get enough of a sense of scope to really understand that.
I mean,
And I
yeah,
think
they
that-
didn't focus on the actual town. They focused on the houses, the places. I'm talking about, you know, the outside of the house with like the rusty rocking horse on the springs, on the porch, the sun bleached, you know, plastic kids' toys, the trampoline. Like these kids, there's always all these inserts of the two youngest kids playing with each other, and they're just having fun. They don't know what it's like to have TV, video games, whatever. You know what I mean? Like they make do. They play on hay bales. They play on whatever they can get their hands on. They use garbage, you know, in the yard to practice shooting with. You know, inside the little Arthur, the drug dealer, the guy from Superbad's house. You know, you get there's no socket cover for the things, and he has this little ferret, but then he has a blanket over the wind. Like those shots is what I'm really kind of getting into, where when you kind of go in, and it's like even her friend's house, you know, the guy's putting on like motocross, like mongoose shit, and like, can I borrow your truck? No.
also
Okay,
sorry, real
well,
quick. Didn't I 100% when that guy first came on screen? I thought it was Dane DeHaan. Anybody else?
No.
I was like, what? Dane DeHaan?
That's funny.
Dane DeHaan's in this? And then it wasn't him at all. But yeah, I thought that was going to be
He
a
was
whole
busy
plot line.
making Chronicle at this
Yeah,
time.
I thought it was going to be a whole plot line. I was like, oh, he's great. And then it was not him.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I hear
think
what you're
it's-
saying, Josh.
See the interior.
I
Maybe
think,
it's
like,
the interior stuff that I.
I think I'm being like, you know, probably maybe I'm being a little too harsh. I don't know. I was bored, and I don't want to say
Yeah.
that I was bored, but I wasn't engaged, and I think you guys. I think Jennifer Lawrence did a good, serviceable job. I think she did it well, but I don't know. And I might get in trouble for saying this, but I know that she almost didn't get the role because the casting director thought that she was too pretty. And I agree. I don't
Well, yeah.
believe that she was living in poverty. I don't. I do not think that. I just didn't buy it. She acted it
That's
fine.
interesting.
Her attitude is
That's
fine.
very interesting.
But I'm looking at you with your hair and your like perfect skin.
That's also
and
that seems like such an easy
I don't
fix,
know.
doesn't it? Like if you're actually like that seems like
yeah.
a 10 minutes in makeup fix. Like that's it. You know?
Well, did you see some
I
of the
feel like
other
they could've done
local?
more.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the other local women, like one of her cousins who goes and takes her to Little Arthur. You know, like she looks the type more than Jennifer Lawrence.
Well,
does,
hold up too.
you know what
I just
mean?
also
Like,
realized, what about the fact that she's beat to shit for half the movie?
I thought that was only for like
Yeah.
2 minutes.
No.
I did
Well,
like
she
how
gets
it-
like beat up in the middle
yeah,
of
like
it.
the middle of the movie.
But it's like, what I'm saying is like not that like I'm saying that you can't cast somebody with like her natural looks or whatever. But like I think they could have afforded to do more
yeah,
to make her look like she
I
lives in poverty.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I just think that was like they could have. It's 10 minutes of makeup. You know what I mean? It's not. So I agree
Yeah.
with you. It's a weird.
Give her an uneven haircut or like
Right.
something. Make her like have to cut her
Yeah.
own hair. But like I don't
But
know.
I
Maybe they were
didn't-
trying to make a fucking point.
I mean, personally, I didn't think about that at all. But I also went into it very much accepting that this is Jennifer Lawrence's movie. That's why I was watching it.
Sure.
She got nominated for an Academy Award. That's what I'm watching here. So I didn't think about that.
Do we know
But it's fair.
what was who she was competing with that year?
I don't know. 2000.
I mean, she didn't
10.
win, so
So
I don't
She
know.
didn't win,
I'm gonna randomly
but-
guess Meryl Streep was probably nominated because she is every year.
just throw that out there. You just
just
give or take every other year. Yeah.
hold on.
Go
We
ahead.
can get to the bottom of this.
Nothing. That being said, I don't know if we have more to discuss, but there is some cool movie news that just popped up. So I don't know if you want me to wait on that for a minute.
I just want to say, like, in terms of, I don't know much
Oh,
of.
Natalie Portman for Black Swan, obviously.
Ah, there we go.
Oh shit, that's right, 2010. Wow. All right. Well,
Duh. We literally were just talking about it.
But that also makes sense. We're talking about performances that we both kind of felt now in 2020 felt a little bit understated because they were, so that all makes sense. Very much so makes sense.
Yeah.
If that's just that was tonally where we were at as a society, and they're both great performances. Just 10 years later, looking back, you kind of you expect this overly dramatic thing, and then being like, oh, these are very real, understated performances. That it's cool. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I want
think there's something
to.
be
It's
said
funny
for that.
so Deborah, with Deborah's movies, I just saw a trailer again for one that came out a couple years ago.
Leave No Trace.
Leave No Trace, which is another family kind of drama in the woods, kind of they living off the land, and they, so I think it's, in terms of aesthetic for directors and stuff, I think she really does kind of tend to lean more towards these kind of, not very showy, very...
Yeah, I think that's
naturistic.
great. I think like the subject matter that she's interested in exploring is important. And I admire her for having that's like her thing. Is like I'm going to talk about like these types of people and shine a light on these types of things. And I think that's awesome. I personally didn't necessarily buy it that much this time around. But I hear what you guys are saying for sure. I do think I do have an issue though. Like when we were talking about the Danish Girl and about how they were kind of like, I felt that movie whitewashed a lot of the history and the personal nuances of those characters and those real people's lives in order to present it to make it more palatable for a mainstream audience.
Yeah.
And I don't appreciate that. Now this was based on a book, so it's not like real life. But I found out when I was like I was like, what the fuck happened in the ending? When I had to like look it up. Apparently in the book, they totally removed like two huge character relationships that really inform the dynamics of Rhee and who she interacts with in this world. The first one being her friend, who she like goes and like, can I borrow your husband's truck? Apparently she and the friend and the woman were intimate. Like they had a relationship.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like that, knowing that would have like informed that relationship so much more and like really made sense as to why that was A, the person that she was going to, and B, why she was so upset at, like, you know, I think it just adds that extra layer of like complexity and nuance that makes that would have made those scenes more powerful and impactful.
Well, you got like a taste of it because when they're sitting on the bed and she's like asking for the truck and she's like, yeah, he says no. Well, did you ask why? It's like, no, he just says no. She's like, you know, before you got married, you would never take this shit. You know, so there's like that little spark, and that would have been very interesting to know.
What I'm saying is, like, I feel like that though that's like a basic, like,
yeah,
you know, the most basic like, I think it becomes infinitely more complex if you then know, factoring in.
Totally agree.
Oh, it's because they used to, you know, in this community that I'm assuming does not take very kindly to homosexual relationships. I feel like they're just totally removing that, like, that just makes no sense. It makes sense if you're trying to, get everybody to watch it, I guess, in 2010, maybe, I don't know. But the other thing is that Thump, like the evil guy,
the mafioso,
the drug dealer guy, apparently he like raped Rhee
in the book
at one point, and like before the events of the book even take place, like he sexually assaulted her.
The guy,
and so but there's no mention
of the guy who's being played by the guy from Superbad. Is that what we're talking about?
No, we're talking about
the
like
leader,
the old grandpa.
Guy.
The grandpa.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
When they beat her up and then he comes in his like cowboy hat and he's like, if you got something to say it now. Yeah. And they just totally remove that. And if you know that, and then I feel like that would have made those scenes a little more, give them a little more meat when she's like trying to go repeatedly to the family to talk to him.
When she's running around the whole mill or whatever the hell
thing, trying to chase him. It's like, why take this out? You're gutting the story, the emotional core of the story. I was also like, during that scene, I was like, how do you even know who this guy is? What's happening? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, the way the movie portrays it, I feel like she knows him through the grapevine, right? She knows that he's this figure that people are afraid of or whatever, even the one girl's like, he's even my own granddaddy and I still am scared to piss him off. And it's like, even having him come out and like having a shot of him, just them looking at each other and knowing that history, I think would have been powerful, knowing that even after what he did to her, like in the book, she still having to go out to find that information, I think would have add some, gravity to the fact that she's stepping on this guy's property, knowing what he's done to her, Oh, that's interesting. And that's kind of sad and goes back to, talking about adaptations from, source material and what.
Yeah. I don't know whose decision that was. It could have been the producers. I'm not trying to say Deborah or the screenwriters.
No, I mean, doesn't that,
are at fault.
That very much sounds like a studio decision.
Which is a shame, which I think is like, I'm not saying that a story needs those elements to like be powerful, but I think that we're missing something. And I think it's obvious when we watch the movie, we're missing something.
Yeah,
sure.
But I don't know,
absolutely,
honestly,
100%.
Maybe this stuff might have just been timing edits because it was anomaly content or anonymous content. I can't remember which one. Do you know what the production company was? But anyways, it was seemingly pretty indie at the time. So I would imagine they would have been able to do whatever they wanted to do to a certain degree, It's not Disney on their backs being like, no.
No.
So,
it's not the mouse. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I haven't read up about it. I don't know why they made that decision. And I don't know if it would have made for a better movie. But I remember reading and reading that information and being like, oh, that like now I shouldn't have to go online to like understand the movie I just watched. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you said the same thing about Legend. When we talked about Legend, it's like we have these brothers, but it's like, why do we go through an entire movie and they still had a whole history and a whole thing that happened between the end of the movie and when they died, that are infinitely more interesting than what we saw.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
How do we change that? I want to, because it's frustrating because even though, Caleb, you're writing stuff, I don't know if you've ever thought about adapting something, but time limit, right? If you talk about time, it's like the movie was an hour 40, and what those inclusions, those inserts of those relationships, maybe would have added 5 minutes.
Yeah,
because you don't need they can be subtle. They don't have to be a long 10-minute scene of like exposition, but they could be I don't. What is it? Maybe it's because it is 10 years ago, but
It's also like it's movie making is so complex. You know what I mean? It's like maybe on the day that they shot those scenes, the actors weren't on their A
Right.
game and the takes came out bad. Maybe something happened where like they had to change their shooting schedule because of weather.
Sound
like,
was
you never
yes,
know.
maybe
And
sound was fucked, lighting was fucked, files got deleted. Who like it could be anything.
Maybe
then I want reports.
they had those scenes in, and test audiences said it was too fucked up, and so they took them out. Like there's never you can never know, and I don't want to put that on the filmmaker, at least, because based on her filmography, she does very clearly care about telling these authentic stories and wanting to do justice to this stuff, and I think that's great, and I think she's a really, really great. I enjoyed Leave No Trace. Her first feature is called Down to the Bone. I think it's great. To me this time, I just didn't do it for me.
And it
I
sounds.
wonder.
Sorry, it sounds like you've been like very upfront with the fact that it's very similar to how I was with Black Swan. I think the biggest issue being just expectations being set before. You know, had you just randomly seen.
Yeah, I had pretty high expectations.
No, but that being said, like, had you just randomly seen this movie on TV and you were watching it, you'd be like, oh, okay, this is pretty goddamn good. And like, you know, but she obviously with all the Academy Award nominations and it being 10 years already, like it's supposed to be like knock you on your ass when you see it now. That's like how it's been built up. So
yeah, I mean, I do think that it has a pretty bad pacing issue, but I think you do have a point that I wouldn't be as like critical. But I just caught it on.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like I agree with you. You know, like there is obvious pacing issues and things like that. It's just I think they're more evident and relevant now.
I think that's fair. I think you're right. I think that's true.
I would like to start a petition to demand that filmmakers release those documents and those reports of test audiences and what they had, and like as little packets for another $15 when you buy the DVD, so that you can get, you know, because I'm sure there's a lot of like, can you imagine being a filmmaker and we spend 4 months making this movie that we genuinely did it justice, but then producers and like the studios, whatever we're working with, we cut it and edit it to a certain format, and then we're sitting there watching it going, this is not the movie, you know, there's missing some points, people are going to get flacked, and then people do have those issues with it, and then you sit there going, I'm sitting on my hands. You know, how frustrating would that be if if that was the case, like things get lost and whatever.
Josh is going to change the movie industry completely now. He's going to start selling deleted scenes for 99 cents a pop for downloads. he's going to turn it into pay to play. If you would like to continue and see Act 3, pay an extra 99 cents.
Can you imagine if they did loot boxes for movies?
Oh,
they did loot boxes for movies. Like, which scene are you going to get? Are you going to get the climax? Are you going to get the exposition?
Oh, no, I only got
know.
episode 1, 6, and 12? Shit.
It's interesting though. I fucking hate the idea of test audiences. To me is so fucking frustrating because it's not even like it's just people in the mall that are there. Then it's like, hey, do you want to see like a movie? It's like, yeah, great. Nobody knows. But then again, I don't know. You watch like, I don't know, Blade Runner, like that movie, you know, and movies like Star Wars that get like kind of like saved in editing through studio meddling, and it's like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
The original Star Wars.
I mean,
what do we think?
Not the new ones. It's a case by case basis. Who knows?
Yeah. Know? What do we think about the random insert of the black and white squirrel video?
Oh, I like that.
Done in.
Yeah, that worked for me.
What did it mean? I was confused by it. I don't know if it was just because of like deforestation and the fact that like she had to just. Yes, I don't know.
I don't remember.
Like, you hear chainsaws, you hear trees falling.
I don't remember.
It's these squirrels and.
Like what exactly it meant, but I remember the feeling, and it worked for me, you know?
Yeah, I think it's an atmosphere thing. I think it's like informing emotion. I'll be totally honest with you. I forgot that happened until you brought it up. So I don't know. I don't know if I have that much more to say about this movie, but I'm down to talk about Jennifer Lawrence's shenanigans. Or if you guys want to move on. No.
Well, Brandon, you mentioned about some movie news that just came out.
Yes. Well,
do you want to do that?
Yeah. I got.
Then maybe Jennifer Lawrence shenanigans.
Well, there's definitely one thing that I want to talk about. I just found this out. I just saw this. Officially, Jamie Foxx has signed on to play Mike Tyson in a biopic, so I'm very excited about that. I think he'll do. I mean, he's Jamie Foxx. He's the best. He's the best. I mean, he's unreal. And I think he's like
the only member of the cast of Baby Driver that isn't fucking in trouble right now.
Wait, wait. What did the kid do? Kid's okay, isn't he?
You haven't heard?
No.
Oh, this happened like a couple days ago. Yeah, Ansel Elgort got Me Too.
Did he actually?
Yeah.
Shit.
He did. Yeah.
Same with the that 70s show.
Yeah, we were talking about Danny. We were talking about Danny Masterson. I think
that's all very, very intense. I think he's facing 44 years. It's allegedly three counts of aggravated rape. Yeah, I didn't realize though. There's articles that came out the next day, and again, all allegedly. I don't know shit. I'm just reading random articles. That it's all very Scientology based. So that's a huge part of this apparently. So we'll see how this all goes down.
You have to sexually assault
I had read that
somebody
Scientology was trying to cover
that's
them
what
up.
that's what I mean. He's a Scientologist apparently.
Yeah.
And years ago, all these women came to Scientology with all these accusations, and then the women, from what I read, are also accusing Scientologists of like harassing them. I read something about one of them like killing somebody, like one of their dogs, like really just insane.
Yeah,
like it's really really bad. And then obviously there's also the Chris D'Elia allegations, which are also very very intense.
Chris D'Elia stuff is tough.
Yeah.
Danny Masterson probably did all that shit. I feel comfortable being he probably did that shit. I know, allegedly, I know we're supposed to wait, but
it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good,
no,
does not sound good at all.
Ansel Elgort, I don't know, some girl I guess posted on Instagram or Twitter this long thing about how he or she contacted him when she was 16 or 17, and he took advantage of her. He was already a known person at that point, but then she deleted it and it was anonymous. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I mean, just kind of getting.
I hadn't really heard anything too bad.
This happened yesterday,
so I mean, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Guess we'll see, but hopefully, hopefully it turns out that he's a good person, and that's not. I don't know. Who the hell knows
I think
what to
it
say
depends on
anymore.
How long ago was it? Why did she delete it? Why didn't I don't.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get into that.
Yeah, I don't
I'm not trying to get into that. All I know is what happened is that this message was posted, and then
all we can do is just relay the messages that we read. That we
the
see.
point is, I hope whatever needs to happen happens. Whoever needs to be held responsible for whatever needs to be held responsible for happens, and that's it. Whatever, you know what I mean? The right things need to happen, and that's all. That's all I want to say about it. I don't know. It's stressful. It's obviously super upsetting to see, every day somebody else said. It's what is going on? Just don't.
No, we have to be careful. We have to be earnest. We have to be respectful. We have to come at it at a very, I don't know. I think we'll be okay just because we are living in an age where we're just coming up, and we are hyper aware. But then again, Justin Bieber was this very nice kid on YouTube. All of a sudden he's now a jerk. But
I don't know about that.
What money does to you.
I've always heard he's a very nice guy.
He was a fucking douchebag for a good
bit
of time. I guess he's
he
mellowed out by now.
Found Jesus.
But he's also a member of that weird super church that a lot of celebrities are. It's the same one that Chris Pratt belongs to. That are very anti-LGBTQ and I don't know. I get sketchy vibes from that shit. But who knows? I think the point is you never know.
Yeah.
You can't know somebody. You know what I mean? I think some of the worst fucking most I think of some of the most notorious assholes who nobody said anything about because maybe they aren't a monster, and then you have people like Bill Cosby whose career was built on
guy. He's
being
the dad,
a father figure to a generation of people, is one of the worst serial abusers of ever. So it's just, you never get somebody's full story, and you only get the sides that they share with people.
That is unbelievably the craziest story ever. You couldn't write that. If you wrote a story that was building up...
You could, but why would you?
No, but you know what I mean? If you wrote that as a movie, nobody would believe it. You'd be like, this is too far-fetched. You can't, you know what I mean? America's
it's almost
bad. It's stranger than fiction.
If you wrote a movie about a demented game show host taking over the United States of America, nobody would believe it. But here we are.
Or if you wrote movie Seven with Kevin Spacey, and then that's just seemingly...
If you wrote the movie Seven and what's in the box?
I mean, it's hard to it's really hard to watch Kevin Spacey in almost anything now because he's plays the worst guy in everything, then you're like, now this is weird. I don't like.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've tried. I don't think I've like tried to watch, which is a bummer because I like a lot of the stuff that he's been in. I think he's a good actor.
Well, again, like,
no, that's not true. We had to watch Josh. We had to watch Glengarry Glen Ross for class after that had happened.
After,
do you remember that?
Yeah.
After what? Wait, you guys have to watch Glenn? Oh, for
theater history in school.
Theater history class, yeah.
And he's in the movie version. And so it was. I think that was the first time that and then I was like, oh yeah, like
I can see
you're a fucking disgusting human being, and it works.
Yeah.
I want to, Caleb, you mentioned something. I want to get back into J-Law, some Jennifer Lawrence stuff, because you said that she's kind of had a career that should have been spanned over 2 decades within like 10 years, if it's 7 years, of really how popular she's been, and it's so funny because when I was first kind of starting, really taking this seriously, I always think it's funny because, Jennifer Lawrence seems on camera, on interviews and stuff, that she is a down-to-earth kind of girl. She's my age, maybe a year
she's 1990,
older.
Your age.
My age. And I was like, one day maybe I'll be a love interest to Jennifer Lawrence. Who knows? Like we could play the guy and girl next door, give him some shenanigans. But she kind of went from this, like, if Winter's Bone is her kind of like big break in terms of feature film, Oscar nomination, and then she does Hunger Games next, you said?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like she went from a nobody to being an Oscar nominee to being in 2 of the biggest movie franchises of the decade.
Yeah.
Right? You have X-Men, you have Hunger Games. Then she hard pivots to doing like art shit with David O. Russell, wins an Oscar, and then completely and now she's in this category of these like A-list celebrities who just put out all of this, like so many big quote unquote important movies a year. And she's not even 30.
But she's, I think she...
it's a whirlwind. And at the same time, her public persona is like, I'm down to earth, relatable, goofy, haha. Like, I feel like she wasn't given the time to grow and breathe and cultivate her craft. And all of a sudden now, like, it's the end of the decade and people are like, Jennifer Lawrence, tired of her. It's like, it's like she had her moment. And it's like, whoa, she's just getting, like, I don't know. Like, it seems like... she's not the it girl anymore, and it just seems like that it shouldn't have happened so fast. Right. Like, I feel like it should have
I think it kind of
should have taken her time a little bit more.
Exactly, and I think we might be seeing kind of remember in our first year of grad school when Alec Baldwin came to speak, or our second year, and he kind of had this thing where he said that looking back at his career now that he's like in his late 50s, early 60s, whatever. And he's finally getting the chance to have a family and just like take it, he's taking those breathers, that when he was first dealing with his career, he was always saying yes, or he was always wanting, because he doesn't know when that it's going to stop, right? Yeah. So maybe Jennifer Lawrence, what we're seeing is that she gets these breaks and she's just going and saying yes, and she doesn't give herself time to breathe. But he said one of his biggest regrets, Alec Baldwin, said that was not taking a vacation, or realizing that, I can take a month to just de-stress and just breathe and like figure out what's next. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people who come into money, they'll like upgrade their apartments. They'll start buying fancy shit and like big houses and things like that. And then all of a sudden they stop and then they can't, afford anything because the project.
The other side of that is, in that same conversation, he also told us that he was like, had just finished filming Boss Baby, and somebody asked why. And he was like, because I wanted to get up and go to work every day. Sometimes I just want to go to work. And I also thought that was like, that's the other side of that coin, which I thought was really interesting to hear from Alec Baldwin. Like you said, it was, whatever it is, 4 years ago now, 5 years ago, whatever. Obviously he can really be doing whatever he wants, and to be out recording for Boss Baby because he has kids and because he wanted to just be out working every day I thought that was so inspirational.
Right.
You know, because you're right. It's a
I don't know.
balance you got to find. You know.
Right.
I just feel like I do feel kind of bad for her because like we see that happen. I think if you follow these patterns, like you get your moment in the sun, and then it's like make 6 movies in the next 2 years, and then you're done.
Dude, I mean, talking about burnout, look at Ruby Rose. I mean, she quit Batwoman because of the hours. Like that's a perfect example.
Which is fucking nuts.
Well, I mean, that's what it's reported.
Insane.
Who actually knows? I don't know, but I mean.
Well, I think of like Chris Pratt. Like you couldn't go 2 weeks without seeing him in a new thing, and now it's like starting to slow down a little bit, which I think is good. You know, and I understand with him, like he was homeless. You know, like you want to never want that to slow down once you get it. But I think like
he got Parks and Rec, and he was like, "Let's run with it." I know,
Yeah.
and it just makes you kind of think about when we ever get that kind of big break to kind of it's like this whole quarantine thing. Like we were kind of going, life was at a very fast pace, and then we kind of were forced to just take a seat,
Yeah.
God or Mother Nature was like, take a fucking seat.
Yep.
Slow down, breathe, enjoy your life, enjoy who you're with. It's like, I don't know.
I feel that.
It's a little,
Yeah. It's been a lot.
and now we have a podcast.
Yep.
So, I mean, I can't fault
That's
Corona
right,
for
bitches.
taking away my job.
Speaking of,
Now we're gonna be internet famous.
we're gonna do a little rating for Winter's Tale.
I don't know about that, but we should probably rate Winter's Bone.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I
Josh,
guess
do you wanna?
it wouldn't feel right, rating a Winter's Tale after.
It
all
wouldn't
this
feel
time.
right to rate a completely different thing after we didn't talk about it at all.
That's
who
so
wants
funny.
to go first?
I'll go first.
Oh,
I'll give it. I'm gonna give it a hard 3 for me.
I'm gonna give it 3.5 cut off hands in the lake. I don't know. I thought Jennifer Lawrence was great. I thought her uncle was great. The guy from Superbad I really enjoyed too. So I mean, yeah, it was a little tonally off for me, but I liked it.
I'm gonna give it a 3 as well. I think. So look at that. We're all misogynists.
Who's up? Me or Caleb?
It's you.
It's me?
You're up.
I think it's Brandon.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Then I will be continuing on with our female director weeks, and I want to watch Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn movie that just came out.
Oh, fuck you.
Fuck you, good sir. I saw it in theaters. I really enjoyed it. I want to watch it again, and I want to talk about it.
All right.
Oh, Caleb, have you seen it?
No, I have not seen it.
Oh, great. So it fits the criteria. So we can watch it.
But it's like $20. Ah, god damn it. All right.
Is it really?
If you can't,
Maybe not to rent.
if
Hold
you
on.
can't find it, I will find it for you. Okay.
No, I know how to find movies online, Brandon, all right?
Yeah, he's been doing this since he's 12.
I've been doing this shit for a long time.
but seriously, I saw it in theaters. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the directing. I liked the writing. I liked a lot of the things that they did. I thought it was really unique, and I want to know your guys' perspective on it. It's like, this is not me doing a Dark Tower thing here. I really enjoyed the movie, and I want to know what you guys think. Yeah. I think
Who directed it?
it's
Brandon.
I want to say Patty Jenkins. No, who is it? Hold on. I'm gonna look it up. I knew before because I was ready for this like 3
I don't
weeks
think
ago.
it's anyone. I don't think it's anyone super famous.
Hold on.
Because I agree. Like I thought it was fun. It'd be fun to dive in critically about it. and kind of pick
Kathy
it apart.
Yan was the director.
Kathy Yan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to we female director for something dramatic, female director for something superhero-y.
yeah, and also
You know?
I mean, it just came out, so it's relevant. I don't know, man. So Josh, you've seen it?
Yeah.
You see, there's a lot to talk about. I also really want to hear Caleb's perspective on Ewan McGregor's Black Mask.
Oh, really? Is he?
I
bad?
know. I
Or is
loved
he
it.
good?
I loved it.
I personally liked
Yeah.
it. So, but yeah, no, it'll be interesting.
He went all out.
We'll,
He went all out.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I honestly, I'm very, very, very excited to hear what you think about this movie.
All right. I'll looking forward to it.
Caleb,
I
say
can't imagine that I'm gonna love it, but we'll see. I'll go in with an open mind.
you're probably not, but take a breath, and it's entertaining for sure. So, all right, is that everything? Just trying to think here.
That's it.
I think that's it.
Well, guys,
we know what we're doing next time. So
thanks for sitting down, chatting about Winter's Bone, not Tale. That's Shakespeare. Read that on your own time. So yeah, I'd just like to say thanks for listening. If you haven't, do I do this? Should I do this? Do a plug?
Yes.
Instagram.
Yeah. Do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is my first time, guys. So, if you haven't already, like and subscribe and comment. Who knows? Maybe your questions will be added to the podcast. Follow us at 3M Affairs Podcast on Instagram. And yeah, did I do okay?
Yeah, that was good. And find us on YouTube at 3M Affairs Podcast on YouTube. And
should we plug the MySpace as well?
Yeah, we
the
right now
Zanga.
we're only friends with Tom on MySpace. Hopefully he's listening, and we love him, so we hope he stays as a fan.
There you go,
Tom. If you're out there, please write me back. I miss you so much.
Tom is my first friend.
All right, guys.
Yeah, all right. This has been going on long enough.
Yes, it's been going on long enough. Have a great weekend, guys. Thanks for listening.